Welcome, brave soul. I am the forgotten storyteller. Before we begin, tap that like button if you dare, and drop a comment below telling me where in the world you're listening from. And if you make it to the end of this video, I hope to see you in the next story. I hope you're ready, because I am. Let's begin. They say the dead can cling to places, like cobwebs strung between rafters, fragile but impossible to tear down. But some things are worse than ghosts. Because sometimes, it isn't just a spirit that lingers in a house. Sometimes it's hunger. Our story today begins in a place that has earned a whisper, a reputation that makes locals cross the street rather than walk past its gates. A place where the air feels heavier, as though the shadows themselves are waiting. And into this place, unsuspecting, comes a family who believes they have found their dream home. Yes, listener, our story begins at Hollow Manor. The Marchant family arrived on a gray afternoon, clouds gathering low, the kind that seemed to scrape the top of the house's decaying roof. The parents, Daniel and Elise, were city-born, their hands calloused not by labor but by the endless grind of office jobs and the weariness of city life. They brought with them their two children, 9-year-old Lily, small, sharp-eyed, curious beyond her years, and her older brother, Thomas, 12, restless, cynical, and already bitter at having been pulled away from his friends. The house rose before them like a monument to decay, 3 stories of weathered stone and warped wood, its windows blind with dust, its chimneys sagging. The gate groaned when Daniel pushed it open, and Elise laughed nervously. "Well," she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, "she's got character." Lily, clutching her stuffed rabbit, tilted her head. "She's watching us," she whispered. Her mother frowned. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" "The house." Lily didn't take her eyes from the topmost window, where a curtain twitched though no one had touched it. "It doesn't like us here." Thomas rolled his eyes and nudged her. "Don't start with your creepy stuff. It's just an old house." But Elise felt a chill crawl over her arms despite the heavy coat she wore. Daniel, trying to be practical, clapped his hands. "It's ours now. Come on, let's get inside before the rain starts." The front door was stubborn, swollen with rot, but it opened with a groan like something waking from a long sleep. Inside, the air was thick, stale, tinged with something sour that clung to the back of their throats. The foyer stretched upward, ceiling lost in shadows. A grand staircase curved along the wall, its banister carved with twisted, curling patterns, almost like vines, almost like snakes. Their footsteps echoed unnaturally loud, as though the walls were listening. Lily's hand found her mother's. "It's too quiet," she whispered. Elise forced a smile. "We'll make it less quiet. You can count on that, you'll see. This place will feel like home in no time." But as they moved through the rooms, the crumbling parlor, the dining room with its table covered in a thick blanket of dust, none of them mentioned the smell that seemed to follow them, a faint sweetness like rotting flowers. It wasn't until Thomas opened a door near the back of the house that they found it. The hinges screamed as the door swung inward, revealing a room untouched by time. Unlike the rest of the house, the playroom was pristine, as though preserved beneath a glass dome. Faded wallpaper patterned with hot air balloons clung to the walls. A small bookshelf held picture books with curled spines. A wooden rocking horse waited in the corner, its paint chipped but intact. And at the center, sitting upright in a small rocking chair, was the doll. Porcelain face, hair of brittle curls, dressed in a once white lace gown now yellowed with age. Its painted mouth was too red, the smile sharp, almost mocking. But it was the eyes, glassy, reflective, unblinking, that pulled at them. Lily gasped and stepped closer. "She's beautiful," she whispered, almost entranced. Thomas had twisted expression on his face. "She's creepy. Burn it." "Don't be mean," Lily said, scowling. "She looks lonely." Daniel crouched, inspecting the doll with mild curiosity. "Strange that this room is so clean. Maybe the last owners left it this way?" But Elise hadn't stepped past the threshold. Her instincts screamed at her, the way they sometimes did, and though she couldn't explain it, she hated the doll. Hated the way its head seemed to tilt ever so slightly when no one was looking. "Let's keep the door closed," she said firmly. "There's no reason to mess with it." But Lily was already kneeling before the doll, smiling into its unblinking eyes. "Hi," she whispered. "I'm Lily. What's your name?" And though the doll said nothing, the rocking chair gave the faintest creak, back and forth, back and forth. That night, the Marchant family slept in sleeping bags on the living room floor, surrounded by boxes they hadn't unpacked. The storm that had threatened all afternoon finally broke, rain lashing against the windows, wind howling through unseen cracks in the house. Elise dozed fitfully, waking at every creak and groan of the settling beams. Daniel snored softly beside her. Thomas buried his head in his pillow, trying to pretend he didn't hear the storm. But Lily lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She thought about the doll. About the way its head had looked tilted. About the way its glass eyes seemed to glimmer even in the shadows. And then she heard it. A faint tap tap tap, like tiny feet moving across the upstairs hall. Her breath caught. She sat up, clutching her rabbit to her chest. Another sound now, creak, the unmistakable groan of the playroom rocking chair. She swallowed hard. "Mommy?" she whispered. But Elise didn't stir. The sounds grew louder, moving down the hall, then stopping. Silence pressed against Lily's ears. She wanted to hide under her blanket, but something inside her urged her to listen. And then, clear, close, right at the top of the stairs, came the faintest giggle. A child's giggle. It was sweet and high-pitched, but something about it wrong. Lily whimpered and pulled her blanket over her head. When morning came, she didn't tell anyone, because a part of her wasn't sure if it had been real, or if the doll had spoken to her in the dark. By the second day, Hollow Manor had already begun its subtle work on them. Daniel busied himself with repairs, determined to wrestle the house into submission. Elise cleaned room after room, though she always skipped the playroom, her stomach twisting whenever she passed the door. Thomas sulked, headphones in his ears, wandering the halls with an air of restless irritation. Yet he found himself glancing again and again toward the door of the playroom. And Lily spent hours there. Elise would find her kneeling on the rug, speaking softly, her toys arranged in a circle around the porcelain doll. "What are you doing, honey?" Elise asked once. Lily looked up, smiling sweetly. "Just playing." "With who?" "With Anora," Lily said. Elise froze. "Anora?" "That's her name," Lily said simply, turning back to the doll. "She told me." Elise forced a laugh, though her skin prickled cold. "Right, well, maybe Anora can take a nap for a while. Let's play outside, okay?" But Lily frowned, clutching the doll's hand. "No, Mommy, she doesn't like to be left alone. She gets mad." And from somewhere deep in the house, a door slammed, hard enough to rattle the glass. The name lingered in Elise's mind long after Lily first spoke it, Anora. It was too specific, too sharp, not the kind of name a 9-year-old would conjure out of nowhere. And each time Elise passed the playroom, she could swear she heard faint whispers, like two children telling secrets beneath their breath. One evening, after a long day of trying to scrub the mildew from the kitchen tiles, Elise found Lily humming softly in the playroom. She leaned in the doorway, hesitant. "What are you singing, sweetheart?" Lily glanced up, her eyes bright, her cheeks flushed as though she'd been running. "It's a song Anora taught me. She says it's what her mommy used to sing." Her voice slipped into the tune, an eerie, lilting melody. The notes didn't sound like anything Elise recognized, foreign, almost archaic. As the little girl sang, the doll seemed to lean forward in its rocking chair, its shadow stretching long against the faded wallpaper. Elise's stomach twisted. "Okay, that's enough for now. Come on, Lily, let's get some dinner." But Lily's face fell. "I can't just leave. She says I have to stay until the game's over." Elise stepped into the room, heart hammering, and seized her daughter's hand. The doll's glass eyes caught the weak light of the bulb overhead, and for an instant, just an instant, Elise could swear the corners of its painted lips twitched upward as though amused. She dragged Lily out, slamming the door behind them. If Lily was drawn to the doll with childlike fascination, Thomas tried to mask his unease with hostility. He told his parents repeatedly they should throw the thing in the trash, maybe even set it on fire. But despite his bravado, he avoided looking at it for too long, avoided the feeling that it was waiting for him. One night, while Lily and Elise slept and Daniel tinkered with the boiler in the basement, Thomas lay awake in his new bedroom, scrolling on his phone. The storm had returned, rain slapping at the window in hard bursts. That's when he heard it. A creak, creak, slow and deliberate, echoing faintly down the hall. He froze. It was the rocking chair. He knew it without a doubt. The sound grew louder, closer, until it seemed to stop just outside his door. His pulse thudded in his ears. Slowly, he lowered his phone, the screen casting eerie blue light across the room. The doorknob rattled. Thomas bolted upright, fear clawing at his throat. "Who's there?" he whispered. Silence. Then, from behind the door, a giggle. It was high-pitched, almost like someone mocking him. His courage shattered. He leapt from bed and yanked the door open, ready to catch Lily pulling one of her tricks. But the hallway was empty. Except, at the far end, barely visible in the shadows, the doll sat propped against the wall. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle, smile fixed, eyes gleaming. Thomas's stomach lurched. He stumbled back into his room, slammed the door, shoved his desk chair against it. He didn't sleep at all that night, staring at the crack beneath his door, waiting for porcelain fingers to curl through. By the third week, the house had begun to reveal itself. Doors that had once opened easily now stuck fast or swung wide on their own. The sound of footsteps above them, sometimes light, childlike, sometimes heavy, dragging, became nightly occurrences. Windows reflected things that weren't standing in the room. And always the doll was there. No matter where Elise moved it, onto a shelf, into a trunk, even once into the locked pantry, it always reappeared in its chair in the playroom, pristine, waiting. One morning, Daniel tried to confront the issue logically. "It's a trick of memory," he insisted at breakfast, though his hands trembled as he buttered his toast. "We think it's moving because we don't remember exactly where it was before. Simple as that." Thomas slammed his fist on the table. "No, Dad. I saw it in the hall last night. Sitting there like it was waiting for me." Elise placed her hand on his. "I believe you." Her voice was quiet, firm. She glanced at Lily, who sat humming into her cereal, eyes far away, as though listening to something none of them could hear. "Sweetheart," Elise said gently, "what are you thinking about?" Lily blinked slowly, a smile curving her lips. "Anora says Daddy shouldn't lie. She says she knows what he really dreams about at night." The room went silent. Daniel's face paled. No one asked Lily what she meant. It was Elise who found the journal. She had been cleaning the attic, moving aside boxes of moth-eaten curtains and broken picture frames, when she discovered a small trunk pushed into the farthest corner. Inside, beneath a bundle of rotted fabric, she found a leather-bound book. The handwriting was spidery, uneven, but still legible. It belonged to Margaret Hollow, the last mistress of the house before it had been abandoned over a century ago. Elise read by flashlight, her breath catching at each line. "The child will not eat. She only stares. She whispers to the doll, says it speaks back to her. I hear them in the night. I know it is not her voice alone. I locked her in the attic to keep her safe from the thing. She screams, but it is not her screams, it is its hunger. It calls me mother, but it is not my daughter. If I keep the doll near her, it does not wander the halls. It stays in her. But the cost is too great. I hear it laughing when I sleep. I fear when I die, it will still be here waiting and still hungry." Elise's hand shook. She flipped to the final entry, words scrawled so violently the ink tore the page. "The doll must never leave this house. To break it is to unleash what is bound. To bury it is to let it seep into the earth. It must sit and it must be watched. God forgive me. God forgive us all." The flashlight flickered, dimmed. Elise's heart thudded. She turned toward the attic door and froze. The doll sat on the top step, its dress immaculate despite the dust, its head tilted toward her, just watching. From that night on, Lily changed. She no longer played with her stuffed rabbit. She no longer begged her brother to chase her through the yard. Instead, she sat in the playroom for hours, lips moving in conversation with someone unseen. Her drawings, once full of rainbows and animals, now showed twisted shapes, dark houses, figures with hollow eyes, and always the doll. Thomas confronted her one afternoon. "Why are you spending so much time with that thing? It's not real." Lily's smile was thin and quite strange. "You're wrong. She's more real than you'll ever be. Cut it out." Her eyes flashed, too sharp, too knowing for a 9-year-old. "She says you're afraid of the dark. She says you still cry when no one's looking." Thomas's face went red. "Shut up." "She told me she's going to play with you tonight," Lily whispered, leaning closer. "And when she does, you won't wake up." Thomas shoved her away, horrified, but her laughter followed him down the hall. A child's laughter, overlapping with something older, deeper, as though another voice had joined hers. The Marchants tried to hold the house together with denial, but Hollow Manor was unraveling around them. That night, as wind battered the shutters and rain poured, Elise woke to a sound that froze her blood. It was scratching. From inside the walls. Long, deliberate scrape, moving upward, downward, as though claws were dragging through the wood. Daniel stirred beside her. "It's rats," he muttered groggily. "No," Elise whispered. "That's not rats." The sound spread, multiplying, encircling the room. Above them, below them, through the very beams of the house. Scratching, clawing, closer. And then, a voice, faint and muffled, but unmistakably that of a child. "Let me out. Let me out. I'm hungry." Elise clutched her husband's arm. His face had gone white. The scratching stopped. From the hall outside came the squeal of hinges. A door creaking open. Elise knew instantly which door it was. The playroom. Daniel tried to dismiss it, just the storm rattling doors, but Elise knew better. She pulled herself from bed, clutching a candle against the blackness, and crept into the hallway. The playroom door stood wide open, though she was certain she had locked it that evening. Inside, the rocking chair moved slowly back and forth, though no wind stirred. The doll was not in it. Elise's throat tightened. "Lily?" she whispered. And then she saw her daughter standing in the corner of the room. Lily's face was pale, her eyes unfocused, her hands limp at her sides. The doll was in her arms. "Sweetheart, put that down," Elise whispered. But when Lily turned her head, her smile was not her own. It stretched too wide, teeth glinting in the candlelight. "She doesn't want me to let go," Lily said in a voice that was layered, her own but threaded with something older, hungrier. "She says if I do, she'll go into you instead." Elise stumbled backward, candle trembling. Daniel rushed in, pulling Lily away, but the child shrieked, thrashing with strength that wasn't hers. The doll tumbled to the floor, cracking against the wooden boards. And the whole house shuddered as though it had taken a breath. From the walls erupted a sound, moaning, shrieking, laughter all tangled together. The wallpaper peeled in strips, revealing black rot beneath. The floorboards warped and splintered. And the doll. Its cracked face bled darkness. Black ichor seeped from its fracture, spilling like tar, crawling across the floorboards toward them. The glass eyes glowed faintly, reflecting a void deeper than the grave. Thomas burst into the room, frozen at the sight. "What the hell?" The ichor surged, snatching at his ankles like grasping fingers. He screamed, kicking free, but the tar spread, pulsating, reaching, feeding. "It's not just a ghost," Elise gasped, realization crashing into her. "It's what she trapped, it's what Margaret Hollow wrote about, it's..." The doll's jaw cracked, splitting wider than porcelain should allow, and from it came a voice that made the candle snuff out instantly. "You left me here. You locked me away. I am hunger. I am play. And now, I am free." The Marchants fled, dragging their children down the twisting staircase as the house convulsed around them. Doors slammed shut, windows shattered, furniture hurled itself across their path. Shadows writhed along the walls, stretching into grasping limbs. "Out the front!" Daniel shouted, but when they reached the foyer, the great door slammed shut before they could touch it. The locks turned on their own, metal twisting. Lily screamed, clutching her ears. "She's inside me. She says she's inside me." Her eyes rolled back, and her small body convulsed in Daniel's arms. The doll appeared again, standing upright at the top of the stairs. It moved now, not carried, not placed. Its porcelain feet clicked softly against the wood as it descended, step by step, every movement deliberate, unnatural. With each step it took, Lily screamed louder, her body jerking like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. "Stop it," Elise cried. "Take me instead." The doll paused, head tilting. And for a moment, silence fell. Then it laughed, high and sweet, but layered with something cavernous beneath. "Why take one, when I can take all?" They stumbled into the dining room, barricading the door with the heavy table. Daniel lit what candles he could, hands shaking. The children huddled against their mother, Lily's small frame trembling violently. "We have to destroy it," Daniel said, voice harsh. "We have to smash the damn thing." "No," Elise whispered, clutching the journal she'd stuffed into her apron pocket. Her voice shook as she read, "To break it is to unleash what is bound. To bury it is to let it seep into the earth. It must sit and it must be watched." Her eyes met Daniel's. "We can't destroy it. That's what it wants." The door rattled violently, hinges screaming. Shadows slithered across the walls, creeping closer. Thomas stood suddenly, face pale but resolute. "Then one of us has to stay. To watch it. That's what it says, right? Someone has to be the prison guard." "No," Elise said sharply. "You're a child." But Lily's voice cut through the chaos, soft, almost gentle. "She says it has to be me." They turned. Her eyes glowed faintly in the flickering candlelight. She smiled, calm now as though in surrender. "She chose me already. That's why she talked to me first. That's why she told me her name." "No," Elise sobbed. "No, you don't understand what you're saying." But Lily only laid her rabbit on the floor, folding its small paws as though tucking it into bed. Then she stepped toward the barricaded door. "It's okay, Mommy," she whispered. "I'll play with her forever. That way she won't come for you." The pounding stopped. Silence descended. And then, with a soft click, the door unlocked itself. Elise lunged forward, grabbing Lily's shoulders, shaking her. "No, no, no, please don't do this." But Daniel's hand fell heavy on her arm. His face was hollow, broken. "If we fight it, she'll take all of us." She said it herself. Elisa's world collapsed. Tears streaked her face as she cradled her daughter's cheeks. "I can't let you go." Lily smiled faintly. For a moment she was just a child again. "It's okay, Mommy. I'll make sure she doesn't get out." Then she turned, opened the door, and stepped into the hall. The doll stood waiting. It lifted its small porcelain hand, and Lily took it without fear. Together they walked into the shadows. The door slammed shut. The house grew silent. The shadows retreated. The walls stilled. The merchant stumbled out at dawn, hollow, broken. The front door, once locked, swung wide, letting them go without resistance. But one child did not walk with them. Elise screamed her daughter's name until her throat was raw, but no answer came. Thomas never looked back. Daniel never spoke of the house again. And Hollow Manor remained patient, waiting. Years later, new owners tried again to breathe life into the rotting house. Contractors arrived, whispering about strange noises, about tools gone missing, about laughter echoing from the halls. And in the playroom, pristine as ever, the rocking chair swayed gently. In it sat a doll in a yellowed lace dress. Beside her sat a little girl, porcelain now herself, glass eyes wide, smile too sharp. Both of them watched the door. Both of them waited. And if you lean close, if you dare, you can hear two voices whispering in unison. "Come play with us." Let us know in the comments. Would you have stayed in the house after seeing the doll move around to different location by itself?
Ready for spine-chilling tales that will haunt your thoughts? Subscribe to Forgotten Storyteller for eerie narrations, unsettling mysteries, and haunting stories you won't forget. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a story, because some stories refuse to stay buried. Join us, if you dare.